Alright, good morning my fellow Devarians, and the saga continues. So this is Thursday, because I've been measuring from this time, it's actually now 72 hours. Okay, the 3 segments of 24 hours, and we'll see how much it is. This is what I've collected today. Alright, so let's see the weight. $265.0. All right, it was 271.2 was yesterday. All right, so what is that? 265, 271. Imagine that. That's 6.2 pounds in the last 24 hours. So that makes it a total of 15 pounds. You know, from the time I started on Monday, 72 hours later, that's equivalent of 3 days. So, 15 pounds. Amazing. We're doing wonderful with this. Put the lights on here. So, we're going to keep it up. You know, keep going. So, fantastic. 15 pounds in 72 hours. Magnificent. This joker is the best, I'm telling you. Doesn't taste the best. Somebody asked me how it tastes. It means like very salty water. So it feels more saltier now than the last time that I did it for some reason. Maybe because I've been eating healthier. You know, somebody else will ask me if they could put it in ice. Yeah, you can put it in ice. You know, I never done that. It's always drink it warm. But I suppose if somebody wants to try to put it in ice, they can do that. You know, I don't see why not. All right, so that answers the questions. All right, so take care. Bye-bye. So Thursday, 25th, March 25th, today, 2021. All right, here we go.
Pow goes the powerhouse, and the COVID-19 man has come to deliver you from the empty land, from the ones who have been silenced to the promised land of the other bed, which is the original place for the soul of a man, where he can now get his jubilee and abide safe like he's never been, in the power of the Father, in the powerhouse, cause that's what Word Electric, the Electric, is the only bed we're connected. Word Electric, the Electric, in the powerhouse we're connected. Truth in the Torah where it is, that's right. And whether you like it or not, I just don't give a damn, cause in this thing the end is gonna be for sure. It's got a date before the song began to score. This ain't no lie, we about to fly, cause in the truth there's nothing that can be denied. Is the COVID-19 man is hooking you up to the other bed, to the powerhouse with you waving. The COVID-19 man is gonna hook you up, cause that's what Word Electric, the Electric, in the other bed we're connected. Word Electric, the Electric, to no one else I'm genuflecting. Word Electric, the Electric, to the powerhouse I'm connected. And then I want to get your power back, cause you will find in there the powerhouse not scared. You won't be silenced Nobody can touch what you will find in there. Gets to cut the masking back of lies. The righteous now they cries, cause the COVID-19 is gonna hook you up to the powerhouse. Leave the power show. Ride this mule around. And welcome, my fellow Debarians, once again to HTTV 28, Adabaran Torah Votes 613. We're happy to have you again. Join us. I know it's kind of late, but it's now Wednesday. I take my time so I can make sure I have the whole lesson there. So hopefully going to learn something to establish us as autonomous, what I call autonomous. That we're controlled, self-controlled by the Torah. Nothing else. So that's what we're going to do today. So here we go. Next screen. Once again, welcome. This is day 4 of this Jopam that I've been on it. And as you can see, 265 pounds. I started on Monday. That's when I took the weight. So Monday at around 5 in the morning. That's usually when I wake up. And it was 280.2. All right. So then the very next day, let me take you to my window. We'll talk some more about this. Let's see. Let me get my stuff here. Oh, fuck. All right. Let me get this ready. Let me get this ready. All right. There we go. Now let me get you there now. Let me see. Business. All right, let me take it to this. Okay, so here we are. So we're talking today about this one. All right, so let me take you back as to review on Monday. See if I can go back here. That was yesterday, the second day. And this was the beginning day, day number 1, all right? So you realize the progress here. It's going way faster than I thought. So amazing, what the app does for you, the Father does for you when you want to do everything for the sake of His glory and for the sake of making all His souls, autonomous. Autonomous means self-sufficient, and I'm using the word autonomous. You're only complete. You're complete in the Torah. You lack nothing. That's just, And the Lord is my shepherd. Means the Torah is my guide. That's like David says, I have need of nothing. Okay, the Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. That means I have need of nothing, because you're so complete. And so we start with that, right? And then the second day, look at that. So it was 280.2. So the second day, I lost, so in 24 hours, because that's 24 hours, I lost 4 pounds, which is magnificent. Most of the doctors in the world tell you to maybe lose about that in a month, because that healthy lost weight, but imagine, in one day, all right, because they want you to lose like a pound per week if you start going on a diet. But in one day, my doctor, DNA, Dr. Noelman, whom I trusting in the job to take care of business, he's getting down. He's getting the job done. So what happens on the second day, right? That was on the second day. So when you take a thing from the beginning, it was 24-hour period. So the next day, which was number 3, that was actually a 48-hour period, because I started this in the morning. In the 48-hour period, it went down to 271.2. So on the second day, 5 pounds were lost. Imagine that. So on the second day, so it was a total of 9 pounds. All right. So then you move on to today, this morning. Okay, when I went again, 265. You know, and I did not set it up, so I'm gonna put it at the beginning so you can see it in YouTube because I'm putting the stuff I do in the morning. So we're gonna see that I had it. You know, I won't be able to show it here because I didn't have time to fix it to tonight. But you'll see it when it plays in YouTube. That will be the first thing. But I explain. You know, you see me weigh myself. Well, we went down to 265. So in one day, you know, so now 72 hours, another period of time, I lost 6.2. So it seems like it's increasing every day. I don't expect it to happen that way. It has to plateau. But usually, you know, when you start in a fasting or something like that, the very first day is the biggest loss. And then the second day is less. And the third day is a little lesser. But the way this is going with the Jopim is 4 pounds the first day, 5 pounds the second day, 6.2 pounds the third day. So this is, I get you, telling you the Jopim is the best way to go, you know. And that's definitely where the DNA in my own doctor, where each doctor that takes care of each one of my 30, you know, you know, this is just amazing to me, you know, all my 30 trillion cells that I have this doctor. And that's the one I'm trusting, and he's sure getting the job done, I'm telling you. So, in 72-hour period, which is the equivalent of 3 24-hour periods in 3 days, you know, 15.2 pounds were lost. So that's a victorious shout out there for the Aleph Beth, you know, and for the DNA that he has put in our bodies to take care of us. And so we trust that, we learn to become, you know, autonomous, self-sufficient. And we can say through the principles and everything in this world, you know, you can go someplace else. Not to be kind saying go to hell, you know, just go someplace else. You have nothing to do with me. All right, but that's the whole idea here. So that's what we're looking into now. Let me see. Now, today we're going to look at something that had to do with perception. You know, looking at things from God's point of view and understanding to the Torah is complete and wholesome and it's not lacking anything. All right, let me make sure that the volume is being heard, because sometimes I forget to check and then I'm in trouble. I don't have you on the screen all the time. So, oh yeah, I can see the microphone is working. So I'm feeling more comfortably in this suit because this suit was getting too tight. You know, so I'm putting it again. I'm wearing it again, feeling more comfortable, you know, looking better in it. So I'm gonna wear it more often again. Because that's the one I used to use, but it's just now I was looking at this. When I started the COVID-19-MAN, the first sermon last year on March 22nd, around that time I was weighing around 218, 220. Okay? So it took a whole year because I started this on the 22nd again. You know, Monday was the 22nd. Took a whole year to gain 60 to 62 pounds. Okay? 60 to 62 pounds. Took a whole year to gain that. And I was doing the Oman, you know, the 1 meal a day. But, you know, but still, you know, when you're in your 60s, your metabolism doesn't burn that fast. So you can still gain weight on that. And, but in any case, so I tried the Yopem right now, and in 3 24-hour periods, you know, I lost 15.2. So of the 60 pounds that it took the whole year to gain, you know, I'm already, you know, 45. Look at this. It's like, will be like 49.8, right? So, I mean, I'm sorry, like 46. I mean, it's 44.8. That's what I'm down to. You know, from that 60 that was gained in 3 days. You know, it's an amazing how the Jopin works. So I was just going over this, you know, having a good time today, just thinking about how fast this thing is going. I wasn't expecting it to go this fast. I don't expect that it will continue. I just, you know, because it's not really that great a thing to go that fast in any kind. I'm not complaining. I still have my energy and everything to do my job and everything. But I guess Dr. Noelman, that he knows his business. He knows how to take care of it. Imagine all the stuff that people buy, the programs that they subscribe to, the little regimen of the diets. You take this liquid, you take this and that. Cough up $600, cough up $1,000. That's why this is called the Zero Campaign. All right, the Zero Cash Campaign. The $0 campaign, because you're not spending anything but what you have at your disposal. So you don't have to spend any money, all right, other than what you have at your disposal. Now let me share a little bit of the verse from today. Let me show I have this ready here. Okay, good. It's showing me everything on this window. And now here, I'm going to read Psalm 19, but I'm not going to start from the beginning. I'm going to start from here, from 19:7. Okay. Psalm 19:7 says, the law, which means Torah, as you can see there, that's the word Torah, the Torah of the Lord of Yud-Heh-Vaveh, the one he dictated to Moses, right? The Torah of Yud-Heh-Vaveh is perfect. And that's what we're going to look at the word Tam. This Tamaim. Tamaim. That's the word in Hebrew for perfect. And to show you right now the meaning of it, perfect means that it's not lacking anything. That means complete, it's whole. And just to show you that I'm not the one just talking about this, let me take you to this part here. All right, so we have some people here. All right. Andy, good to see you. Yeah, man. Yeah, a lot of the waterways just supposed to go first, but I'm putting everything back in, so now that they can go to waste, and still it must be burning everything, because also I'm going to the toilet a lot, and now everything that comes out is liquid. So yeah, so it's pumping all that out. So yeah, so good for that. So all right, so now let's see. So it's amazing the way this is going. I tell you, but let me take you to a window here to explain this word tamaim. All right, because that's a Hebrew word, tamaim. When you go to the Blue Letter Bible and you can see the meaning of the word here and how it is written. So it's tamaim. The pronunciation, I can even see here, I believe.
Strong's H 8549. Tamim.
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 Tamim. All right. That's how it is. All right. So we're here to that. And now we go down to see here. So the different meanings. There's to be complete, whole, entire, sound. Okay. So that means it's not lacking anything. So it's whole, sound, it's healthful, full of health. So something when you use the word tamaim has to do with something that is perfect. It's not. So that's the same word I'm going to show you right now that is used in the Bible to bring an animal to a sacrifice. That animal could not be cut. It had to be entire and whole. You could not have like a cut hair, ear, or a little bleeding from some side. No, it was wholesome. Was nothing lacking. That's why we'll say without blemish. And you will find out when you bring an animal, bring korban or sacrifice, offering, it got to be without blemish, without spot. And that's how we hear it in English. So it has to do with keeping it whole the way that God made it, and not to tear it up. Like for example, if you had one of your lambs or one of your rams or one of your heifers, whatever it is that you offer, or your bullocks, if they had like cut off the leg or something, and you couldn't bring it down because cut off. It has to be completely entire and whole. As it's supposed to be, with the whole DNA that God made it to be and look like. So that's the whole idea. So complete, entire, sound, wholesome, unimpaired. I mean, so you're not gonna be handicapped. It has to be complete, innocent, having integrity. So then I show you the verses here. So it says that appears 91 times, in 85 verses. But so this is different, entire, literally, figurative, or morally, also as integrity, truth, without blemish, complete, full, perfect, sincerely. That's the different ways that in the King James is translated, but all talking about tamim, all right? And let me take you here. So these are the verses, for example. These are the generations of Noah. Now was a just man and perfect. Tamim. Why? Because he kept all the word that God had given him. So he was complete in the word that he had received, and he did not need anything else. So he was perfect because he just kept the word that he had received through his ancestors, Adam and all of that. So he was complete in the word of God, and God called him complete because he was carrying the knowledge of the understanding of the Aleph Beth in him. You know, that's where the Noah has come from his completed man. All right? He was an autonomous person, not dependent on anything but what he learned from God. So then we find it in different places here. It says, he tells, he says to Abraham, and when Abraham was 90 years old, and 99, the Lord appeared to Abraham and said unto him, I am the Almighty God, walk before me and be thou whole, complete. You know, because when you walk with God, that's what you become. You become perfect. You don't need anything else to listen to. And so now we have here the different ways that it's used. In Exodus 12:5, your lamb shall be without blemish. That means tamim. All right? So the whole idea, if you take the Torah and you only live by a little verse here and there, you don't take the whole Torah, but just passages of scripture here and there to make your own religion, that's a Torah that's being cut off. It's not the whole Torah you're taking. Because that's what it says. You know, the Torah of the Lord is perfect. You cannot be cutting it up into pieces and have it apply to your religion. You cannot do that. Because that is taking the Torah and it's no longer wholesome then. Because you have to take the whole 304,855 sequences of the Aleph Beth without cutting up, not even a letter. Because that's how Joshua is telling us. This book of the law shall not depart, this book of the Torah shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, 24/7. You know, not to use it, it'll take a little portion to start your new religion and to claim that this happened, because nothing, when it's perfect and wholesome, it means it's not like it's lacking something and something else needs to be added to it. No. That's what completes, the man. That's what makes him wholesome. Let's hear what it says in Ecclesiastes. Let's hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his mitzvahs, keep his testimony, because that's the wholesomeness of man. The Torah is wholesome. When you keep it, you are made whole. Okay, so that's the whole idea of what we're doing today, to teaching you to walk in that and see things from God's perspective, that once he gave you the Torah, he wasn't expecting for another religion to be formed, to say that the Messiah will complete what the Torah is talking about. The job of the Messiah, as explained before, is not to bring worship to himself, because the word anointed appears, or the word Moshiach, which means anointed. It means the oil has been poured on that person to be set aside for the service of the Torah. Okay? So when the agent of the Messiah, David was called anointed, so he was a Moshiach because the word anointed appears on him. Okay? But David did not for 1 second did he say, you need to worship me, because he got the title of Moshiach. He was an anointed of the Lord. Also Saul, the one before, David, he was also called the anointed of the Lord, and David will not do any harm to him, even though Saul was trying to kill David. David, when he had a chance to kill Saul, he would not touch him because he was a Moshiach of the Lord. He's an anointed of the Lord. And so this word Moshiach that appears 39 times in the 39 books of the Old Testament, like for each book, but it's used also the utensils. The ark was anointed. The Ark of the Covenant was anointed. Does that mean the Ark of the Covenant, because has the word Moshiach, has to become God now? That's why this religion of our time, by using the word Moshiach, which is Messiah, and causing a Messiah to become like God, that means every time that the word Moshiach was used in the Old Testament, all of those things should become God. So what you've done is you messed up with that word. The word Moshiach just means anointed. You're set aside for the service of God. God is going to use. use you for, you know. And God never uses a Mashiach, an anointed thing, to have it become a God. There's no such thing. 39 times it's used. It's used for the utensils. It's used for the Kohen, for the priest. Oh, they were anointed, you know, to serve. But not a single one of the priests, you know, say, you know, I'm Mashiach now. You gotta elevate me to godhood, you know. So none of that stuff happened in the Old Testament, because the word anointed means just set aside for the service of the Torah and the Aleph Bet, not to detract, not to go away from it, because what? The Torah is perfect. It's lacking nothing. All right, so in view of that, my reason for doing this for you guys, you know, and I've gone on this fantastic journey of this fast of the Jopim, you know, is to, in this campaign, I'm hoping to make you become this. Let me put the picture here. All right? If you look at this picture, you know, if you look at those plates, it's interesting, but, you know, that's why I wrote it here. The plates are empty and set up begging to be filled when you seek for this world to feed you. Because there's a way in which you look at this plate, if you notice that one of them is empty, then all the other plates look up like they're, you know, ready begging to be filled. You know, but then you can also see this thing as if they're turned upside down. You know, so it's like a changes of perception here. I don't know if some of you can see that, but that's why I chose this picture, because somebody was sharing it around in Facebook, you know, with a different saying what could happen. But I'm using it as an illustration. I want to make you an autonomous person. That means self-sufficient, okay? And to be an autonomous person, that means you rely on what God has given you. You know how well it works because you have tried it in the here and now. So you admit the facts because you've experienced it. That's like giving you the stuff about the Mary Christie. You've experienced that. You get to do it on your own. And then, man, you stand up tall and nothing can scare you. Because you know how you're an autonomous person. You're self-sufficient. And that's the whole idea. So that's why it says, but if you are autonomous, that means you're only dependent on the Torah, trust everything that it tells you, and self-sufficient, they are turned upside down. So there's two ways of you looking at it. Once you look at one that is empty and ready to be filled, you see all the plates are, you know, up and waiting to be filled. But when you see the one of them turn around, then you see them all turn around. It's amazing how this effect works, you know. So that's the whole idea. All the other religions, you know, do not complete you in the here and now. So as all the other religions also, then they keep you waiting, you know, on God to come. Like somebody that declared himself God went up to the sky, and now you have to wait for him to return. Nothing like that. The Torah is given to you enter the mindset of the alphabet. So you become the father and mother of words, and you hold on to definitions and meanings. And then you establish, you know, connectedness with the alphabet, and you're enjoying, you know, his mindset in the here and now. That's the whole reason, you know, why the Torah was given, for us to engage in his way of looking at life, in the attitude that he has toward the giving of words and taking care of words. And that we can get, you know, without having, like I explained yesterday, without having to be resurrected, be made healed, just in the capacity in which we are, we can enter into the mindset of the Aleph Bet. Okay? And so this is the thing I was showing you to tell you, so you can understand that the plates are empty and set up, begging to be filled when you seek for this world to feed you. So the religions of the confession of faith, they leave you wondering that there's going to be a heaven, and then you're going to connect with God, and then you're going to have answers. You're going to have all these questions and answers you have, then you're going to get in there. No, that's stuff. You have the Torah, you have access to the mindset of the Maker, you have access to his attitudes, you know his words and yearnings. You know his way, words and yearnings, and they become your way. Okay? For the now and for the here and now. Because God is in control of every minute, and he is working it and making it happen. So that's the whole idea of making you understand that this is the purpose of my campaign, to make your whole and complete. Because it's all a matter of perception. If you get a Torah, which means a gospel or any story that is not the whole Torah, and that's where Paul, or the one that used to be called Saul, He is the first one that wrote all the. He began to write the things. So he is the author of Christianity, because he is the one that exalted the anointed of what he called Jesus Christ to godhood status. And make him be part of what became the Trinity now and everything like that. But he's the one. So you take the name Saul and Paul, but the way I see, I'll call him Paul Saul. Paul Saul. Take the Paul and then take the Saul. Paul Saul, because it sounds like Pesel. Pesel, you know what it means, right? It's creating a mind narrative. Okay? It's creating something that you have to hold in your mind, because you have to have all these verses and you got to look everything through those verses. And those verses become the lenses by which you get to see everything else. And that's why your life is not complete in this world. You are hoping that the decision that you made for the anointed, the trust that you put in him is going to carry you through. And you keep telling your confession of faith, I know that I know, because I know, and become just a subjective experience. Okay? But in the meantime, you have no attitude of the Father of words to just live, wholesomely abandoned, just to take care of the meaning and definition of things, so that everything you do in this world is nothing but charity, because nobody can do anything for you, since you're completely getting your wholesomeness and your whole mindset, the economy that you were made for, you're getting it from the Torah, and that is your circulation, that is your currency. When you do a fast, you depend on your own jopim, which is your doctor, no ailment, and no doctor send you a pill. So everything is taken care of by yourself. So everything that you do in this world is a work of charity. And that's the best way to present the Father in this world. When you realize that everything that you are doing in this world, is nothing but showing off and projecting the Father. And that's why we exist in this physical realm, for that purpose. And this is where we get to exercise that. And no other religion is needed but that, because the Torah is a complete, the Torah of the Lord is wholesome, complete, lacking nothing, without blemish in its entirety. You want to take a little verse here to create your religion? You tore it apart. Now that Torah is blemished. So what Paul did, he took segments here and there, and he turned a whole religion to magnify the man. So like 40 AD, it says around, that's the time that Paul began writing. I believe Thessalonians was the first thing he wrote. But like years after him, then the Gospels came after Paul. Paul's the first one that began to write about Christianity. Then after that, the Gospels came after that, like 20 years later after he started. And John, the book of John, was the last one written, So that's why it differs a lot from the other Gospels. But then you'll find there, that this guy, they told you the one thing, because he said that the Torah is the teacher to bring us to the Messiah. So what he was saying, that you don't need to hear the Torah anymore, only have to believe on the name of the Mashiach. So he was the first one to tell you not to hear. And that's the only thing I told you yesterday that is needed, is to hear Shema, to adhere to the solutions that you have observed, that you have learned. And that Shema can be done by anybody, even if they're handicapped. So they can enter into the mindset of God. And so by telling you not to obey, not to have to depend on the Torah anymore, because those that live by the Torah, they live by the letter of the law, and they're dead. So he did a great disgrace to the Torah, and he did a great disgrace to the soul, because one thing that I was writing today, it says, if you and I, let me read it to you. If you and I were made, if you and I were made to reach our highest potential, in the here and now, to reach our highest potential in the here and now by being in the mindset of the Aleph Beth, that's the app, 24/7. If that's what you and I were made for, because that's what the Torah teaches. This is an admission of fact of what the Torah teaches. Then it says, so if you and I were made to reach our highest potential in the here and now by being in the mindset of the Aleph Bet 24/7, wouldn't you be upset by any pesel? That means, any graven image or narrative of the mind that will give you a mind narrative which is, a graven image, that would rob you or hinder you from being hooked or connected to the other best mindset in the here and now. But that's what all the other religions do. They use so meditate so you feel tranquility. Okay, so you until you feel all the tranquility you want, but you're still not engaged in the attitudes of being the father of all worlds. I mean, always active in this world, making sense of everything for everybody. You're not there. So, other religions just tell you a little healing here and there, a little prosperity for your money, all these things, but that doesn't get you there with the mindset. So you will be plenty upset when you realize what you were made for, and that has been stripped away from you, has been taken away from you. Okay, so it says, that is why the wicked are punished by being doomed, to basically be only consumers in this world, with their elites using all their energy they can supply to build the M.U.L.E, the Manpower-Upheld-Lame-Economy, by the fact that they are, because of the fact that we are Wordectric, empowered by the other best. So they use that capacity and they take advantage to build the M.U.L.E. And so but at the end, what the elites get, at the end, when the elites get to exhaust all the usefulness, you are labeled as eaters, according to Agenda 21. Remember I told you that yesterday? And are placed, and you are placed into programs designed to control and the length and amount of time of your existence. So that's why they can vaccinate you, do everything to get rid of you when you're no longer useful. And that plan is just and God allows this to exist because the moment you walk away from the Torah that makes you complete, you're a danger to this world, because all you do is just be an eater. Just be like what this says, you're not autonomous, you're not self-sufficient. So then you always have your plate up, ready to be filled, begging the world to give you things, and that's why governments control you, and everything has gotten out of hand as it is right now. Okay, so to better instill this idea, make you understand what I'm talking about. Okay, I'm going to show you an example here. Let me take you to. All right, so here I'm going to take you to the word autonomous, so you know the definition. Autonomous means not controlled by others or by outside forces. Independent in mind or judgment, self-directed. Okay, that's what it seems. But when I look out in the world, very few people, appear independent, because the thing is, there's everybody gets some sort of guidance, either from the parents or from some old man or somebody that they admire, and they build up their lifestyle by somebody's advice or something that they saw in this world that was amazing to them. So it's not independent. You pick up stuff and you decide to go with what is best for you, okay? But even the people that say, I believe in myself, I believe in myself and that's all I believe in. But when it comes to doing diets, like to lose weight, they go and follow somebody else's advice. They go and look for this program to lose weight. They go look for this, join this gym that belongs to somebody else and spend money there, spend money in diet programs and all of that, and they don't depend on themselves. Because, you will just drink the job and then you're really living up to what you're saying. You're doing a confession of faith. So everybody that says, I believe in myself, but at the end of the day, when it comes to losing weight and all that, getting control for your body, you go outside of your body, you're lying to yourself. What you're saying is just a confession of faith. It's not an admission of fact. Because if you do the jopim and then you lose weight like I'm doing, then you can say, I believe in myself. I trust what I got on me. See, doesn't that make sense? So that's how the Torah destroys everybody, even the non-believers that say, I believe in myself. You are lying. Because when it comes to healing, when you get a cancer, when you get something that is manifested in your body, where do you go? Pay thousands of dollars to the doctor. And then to give you a chance that maybe you'll make it. But hey, I can go to the job and take care of anything, any cancer, any malady, anything that you can name. There's nothing that is incurable to the doctor, no ailment. To the DNA knows how to handle everything. So I'm telling you right now. So if you believe in yourself, you will not go spend your money anywhere. You'll go to what is found in yourself, to the liquid gold that the pharmaceutical company is harvesting from you, because you don't know any better. And so that's the things that we're looking at today, So those are the things. So I'm here to nullify everything that people just talking about and don't back it up. All right. So even the one that says I believe in myself, it's nothing but a confession of faith, because when it comes to sicknesses, when it comes to losing weight, when you go to outside sources. But put the Torah inside of you, and then you're going to have understanding to deal with everything. So you become autonomous, okay? So from autonomous, I got that, to be self-sufficient. All right? Now, let me explain something about looking at things outside. And you got to judge everything from the wholesomeness of God that is revealed in the Torah, and not from something outside of the Torah. So I'm going to have the Rabbi Michael Skobach. We're going to hear it right now. He's going to give us a little insight, as to what happens when you don't look at things from the Torah's perspective. So he's going to give you a little example of that right now. Let me put him on. All right. And that's what it says here. The problem of reading the Bible with Jesus tinted glasses, okay? Because there's a lot of people there even pretend to have all the Jewish things, but they use Aramaic, they use other languages, as long as they exalt Jesus, as long as they exalt the Messiah, as God. When the Bible, the Torah does not allow that, okay? And but let me have him say it himself. He'll say it clear to you. Let me put him in here.
I saw a fascinating perceptual test on Facebook last night, and it got me thinking. The test was one where we were asked to look very carefully at this photograph and determine exactly how many red dots are on this photograph. After people examined it very carefully, I'm sure that virtually everyone was able to determine that this is a photograph that has 5 red dots. What's fascinating is that virtually no one noticed that this person has 6 fingers on each hand. What's interesting is that when we become focused on one thing, we literally can't see what's right in front of our eyes. This is very similar to an experiment that was done in 1999 by Simons and Chablis, where there was a video of 6 people playing basketball. And the viewers were asked to determine how many times the basketball was passed back and forth between the players wearing the white shirts. After watching the video, most people were able to see and determine that the ball was passed back and forth 15 times between the players wearing the white shirts. But what the experimenters determined and what they discovered was, incredibly, only half of the viewers noticed that in the middle of this video, someone wearing a gorilla costume, a full gorilla costume, walked onto the middle of the court, paused, beat their chest, and then walked off the court. They were on the video for 9 seconds. And yet, because people were so focused in terms of trying to see how many times the ball was being passed back and forth, they literally did not see something that was very unusual that took place right in front of their own eyes. It's this kind of inattentional blindness that impacts and affects many people when they're reading the Bible. I like to describe this as people who read the Bible wearing Jesus glasses. As we know, if you wear red glasses, everything looks red. Mark Twain once said that to the person with a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And so to the person wearing Jesus glasses, all they see when they read the Bible is Jesus. So they might read the prophet Zechariah chapter 13, verse 6, where it speaks about the one who has wounds in their hands, and the person with the Jesus glasses says, you see, I see Jesus in this passage. Until you point out to them that chapter 13 in the prophet Zechariah is describing the fate of what will happen to false prophets. And then they insist, oh, this cannot be referring to Jesus. Or people who read the Bible with Jesus glasses and they see in Exodus chapter 12, verse 46, where it says that none of its bones shall be broken. And they say, you see here another passage which speaks clearly about Jesus because none of his bones were broken by the Romans as he hung on the cross. And yet when you read this chapter very, very simply and superficially, it's very clearly speaking about the Passover lamb, the Passover sacrifice that was brought every year by the Jewish people during the holiday of Passover. Or chapter 21 of the book of Numbers, where it says that Moses built a copper snake, a brass snake, and held it up, and all the Jewish people who were bitten by poisonous snakes, if they would only look at this copper snake, they would be healed. And people with their Jesus glasses insisting that copper snake really is speaking about Jesus, who is held up for us to look to. And yet again, ignoring the fact that this chapter in Numbers has nothing to do with the Messiah. What happens when people have this kind of focused, inattentional blindness, where they're so focused on seeing, unfortunately, what's not in the Bible, they miss what's really clearly and evidently there right in front of their own eyes. So the Bible, for example, describes God as being one, not God as having three parts. The Bible speaks about the fact that the Torah, the covenant he made with the Jewish people, is the source of all our spiritual blessing. It's sweeter than honey, it's more precious than gold, and it's eternal, and that we're able to keep this. And yet people are able to read the Bible and not see that. They read the Bible and not able to see the fact that the Bible tells us we're able to receive forgiveness for our sins by simply turning away from our sins and turning back to God and repenting of our sins. Somehow people are not able to see the dozens and dozens and dozens of clear passages in the Bible that describe this process. People that are reading their Bibles and not seeing the fact that it describes the covenant that God made with his people, the Jewish people, the nation of Israel, the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, not seeing the fact that the Bible describes this covenant as an eternal one that will never be broken, and that God will never replace his chosen people. And so we see that human beings have this incredible propensity to somehow, when they're focused in the direction that they want to be focused in, not to see what's right there in front of their very eyes.
All right. Okay, so that tells you how things work. Because they give you a picelle, a mind narrative, and then you learn so many verses. You spend your whole life learning. You know them by heart. So whenever you see something, you automatically, that verse jumps in, It took me a very hard time for me just to look at the Torah without having to go back to all the stuff I learned, in the Old Testament and in the epistles of Paul and everything. Because I have memorized stuff. I have memorized the book of Jude. I have memorized the book of Peter. I had memorized almost the whole book of John. So, so when I was reading the Torah and just focusing on the Hebrew, this old passage just tried to just come in to make me see, But the thing is, you gotta read the Torah like the way it was given to David. David did not have written nothing, had not read the Old Testament, the New Testament or the epistles of Paul. He didn't have anything to look at. It was direct. Okay, so that's the only thing that made him complete. So that's why he says Psalm 23, the Lord is my shepherd, the Torah is my guide, and my sus I lack nothing. And he realized that the whole thing, that we began this thing, teaching about the alphabet, which is all Psalm 119, 176 verses dedicated to each one of the letters, all of that, because he was so complete. So he's the master of exalting the Torah because of his completeness. We read about him too when it started in chapter 19. That's him that wrote that one. The law of the Lord is wholesome. Tamim, complete. So when you got to read the Torah, you got to read it through the eyes of David. Now he only saw the Torah as his only thing. He did not compare with anything else. And he was complete. And he was wholesome. So that's what the invitation is here. So because the other ones will leave you lacking and will leave you astray. Will present you a Torah that is main, because only takes certain portions from the Tanakh, only takes certain portions, from here and there, and try to direct it, to the object of worship that has been made the Pesel, that has been the Pasol, that's been brought by Christianity, the Pasol, the narrative of the mind, that you have to hold into those verses, and believe that because you know so many of those verses, you only have a maimed Torah that is not wholesome and complete. But the Torah, as this guy explained, is for all generations. So it wasn't like it was gonna, go away, go out of style. So anybody that tells you not to hear to hear the Torah, is already doing a great disservice from having you reach your highest potential for the Aleph Beth to flow through you and for you to be his conduit for his manifestation in the here and now. Now I was gonna do something else here, but I think we're gonna leave it at that because, man, time went flying fast so fast. But you understand what I'm saying? This is the whole idea. I'm giving you this guy because I want to equip you. Yeah, okay. I want to equip you. Exactly. You shall not add unto the word, which I command you. Nothing, because nothing else needs to be added. Okay. So the thing is, that's what we need to understand. Okay. So, but I share with you guys what I see, what I understand, and like I say, it was very hard for me to just focus on the Torah when you go, to the Pesel of Christianity, because it's a lot of things that you put on your head, especially if you memorize a lot of stuff, So I'm very patient, with those of you in Christianity, because it took me a while to see the Torah for all that it is and for the completeness of my soul, and now presented as such, So this is quite a job that was done, And so if you're not here, well, you don't understand that you and I were made for the wholesomeness of the mindset of the alphabet, not just to learn order from the alphabet, but to learn the mindset of being a father to all words. And only the Torah teaches you that. When you're here in that situation, when you understand that, then the Torah becomes sweeter than honey, and more precious than fine and refined gold, because it takes you to that task. It makes you able to do that. So that's why Jewish people, even though they're like about 1% of the whole, they always stay very small in numbers because they're always being persecuted, yet they manage to rise about, in literary works and Nobel Prizes, everything that has to do with sciences and learning, they excel because they are people of the book. That's what they call themselves. Okay? Because they engage their mind in wisdom and understanding more than because that's the whole idea. That's what the Torah enables you to do. To have that, to be in that mindset. So there's a lot of advantage in that. But at the end of the day, what I want for you, my friends, is for you to be, and I'm going to end with this thing, okay, with the picture again. Here. The plates are empty and set up, begging to be filled when you seek for this world to feed you. But if you are autonomous, you are self-sufficient, complete and whole in the Torah, then are turned upside down. You're not going into this world because this world is there to give you something that you still lack. No, you are contributing a lot to this world because you understand, because of the other bed, you're word-dectric, so you can do things because you're word empowered, but you don't do it by coercion. You know, because I owe enough to work, I go. You know, no, you don't do it because you have to. You do it because you delight in showing off and being a projector of the alphabet at every opportunity in this world. You know, everything that's in front of you, from me doing this. Look at what I do. I mean, this is a very elaborate work that started, a year ago, and from that time, you know how I started. I didn't have this program on OBS, but I figured it out. Brian was kind enough to point me to it. I learned it. I put it together. I created my own channel. I created my own music. I do all of that, and nobody's paying me for this. And on top of doing all of this, I give money away. I don't have any sponsor, from this world. My only sponsor is my maker, the Aleph Beth, and because he pays me with more understanding, you don't do things in vain. You do things to get things that you want to get the more. That's why people work for money, because they want to get all the commodities that you can get with money, all the comforts that money can give you. But when I work with the currency of the alphabet, I'm getting the mindset of the Father more and more, and easy to understand and to explain things from his perspective, in such a way that others will understand it as well. So that's what I gain. So I am getting paid by spending money with the currency of the alphabet. I'm preparing this lesson. My character easily is adaptable to the idea of just living here for the comfort of bringing definitions and meanings to all words and being there. And not looking up in this world anything that has to complete me. That's why you become so generous. My generosity increases every year. And though even from last year, it went down, I was counting, Previous to that, and 2019, that's when I made the most money in my life. I made $94,000 that year. Because I was doing the asylum interviews. Those pay about $36 an hour. But when this happened, all of that was gone. So I went down to $15 an hour. But yet, this last year, when I started with $15 an hour again, I managed to give almost about the same amount of money that I gave when I was doing the $94,000 in 2019. I was going, wow. So I became, with less, I became a bigger giver, because it's almost about the same amount, And I thought I was giving pretty good money, with that stuff. But I was thinking, wow, so. And then I didn't feel it, It's not like you give and oh man, you give because you love to give. You love to show off the Father, And you love to, that's just it. It's your life. And that's the whole idea. So I want to make you become autonomous or autonomous, so the being so complete and understand that, so that therefore you have an admission of fact that the Torah is your life and you depend on it. And the DNA can sustain you when you trust it also as well, And so I'm glad that you pay attention, and I'm going to leave you now with a little commercial here. And we'll continue this tomorrow. Tomorrow I was going to read something about Martha Christie today, but we don't have enough time, so I want to read it tomorrow. And we're going to get more into that tomorrow and talk about other things. But I thought I would share this to you to understand the perspective that the Torah wants you to have. So you can be an autonomous, self-sufficient, autonomous, the autonomous man or woman that God wanted you to be and planned you to be by just living off of the Aleph Beth. Let me complete with that. All right, let me put a little, come down. Okay, a little commercial to finish. Whew.